Hello everybody. I'm going to show you how to take your coil pot that we have here and I'm going to have you glaze it kind of in a special technique that really brings out the coils in the project. Now when you decide on your color that you want to go back to using and looking at those, those samples that I made and pay attention because this is now a red bodied clay or clay body. And you want to kind of see what it looks like when you can see the clay kind of show through the glaze, because that is what is going to happen with this. One of the glazes I think works really well, and there's several that do, is this copperhead brown that I have right here. This one works well because it just has a nice color that will sit inside of the deeper crevices here, and then it'll just kind of accent the coils that are along here. Another one that worked pretty well that our student had done was this one. However, they wiped a little bit too much of it off, and I believe this one was the sapphire blue. And you can kind of see, like in this area, it was a really good job, and in this area right here, they just wiped too much of it off. So that's one of the things I want to kind of go over, make sure you don't do. So what I have here is I have my coil pot, I got my glaze, and I'm going to grab my brush. Okay, so I have two different kind of brushes here. I have our typical glazing brush that we use for our smaller projects. In the center of the sink area behind me here, sometimes you can find one of these 2-inch brushes. Either one of them will work. This is already stirred up. Did my finger test, so that's fine. So I know it's thick enough, so I know all the colorants are on top. And then I'm going to go in. I'm just going to put this on. Now, as I put it on, I don't want a real thick coat. I'm just going around the whole thing, making sure that it does get inside all those little pockets. Now I'm going to continue doing this around the whole thing. I'm not going to put glaze on the inside of this because this is more of a decorative piece. If you look inside of it, yours is probably like this one has here. It does have a couple holes in it, so if you did put water in this, it would leak just because it wasn't done complete. So there's no reason why we need to have glaze in there aside from it'd just be a waste of color because you're not going to see it anyways. That rule doesn't apply to everybody's project. If you have a very open piece on the top and you feel like you're going to see the inside of it a lot, then just chat with me about it. There's a really quick way that we can glaze it that won't take very long. So just talk with me about that in class. But I'm going to switch this over to time lapse so I can get this done. Okay, so I'm almost done with the project right now in terms of getting all the glaze on. One thing that's kind of nice is, I have, the glaze is kind of a liquid. If you bring it over quickly and just do a small area, it does really seep deeply into those cracks between the individual pieces of the coils that you have on there. So that's just one quick way of doing this. Now I'm double checking around the whole project, making sure I got every little piece. I have a couple that I missed. So I'm just adding a little more glaze onto those areas, not a big deal. And I think I have everything. Yep, good. Now I'm going to also glaze this top section. Now before I forget, we have those glaze sticks that we write down, the number on the bottom of this. This one you don't have to write down a number because we're just using one glaze, and unless you want to kind of mix a couple together, then it's not that, you could, I never thought about that. But if you haven't got your name down here yet, use one of those glaze sticks to put your name down, because I want to make sure that you always know that this is yours. And the year is so important, because it comes down to when you hang on to this for like 10, 15, 20 years, and then your kids might look at this and say, hey, Mom, when did you make that? Or Dad, that's pretty cool, when did you do that? You can look in the back of this and say, what year you actually made it. So put it down. You'll appreciate that later on in life. So I have the top done. I know I'm going to put one more coat on that top, and I think I'm good for the next step. Now I do have a bucket of water here. You would just do this by the sink, but I'm going to just grab a rag, and you're going to kind of gently wipe around the outside of this. So I'm going to kind of turn this so you can see, and I'm going to go across this a couple times until I start seeing the coil color. And once you start seeing that, then you stop. if you don't stop early enough, again, this happens where you have a really nice area in some of these spots, but in these other ones, they just wiped way too much of it off. So I have, this is mostly wet, and I'm just going to go around the whole thing. Kind of careful not to wipe too much of it off, but also making sure that I wipe enough off to expose those coils, so you have a really nice piece when you're all done. Okay, this is all good. Same thing on the bottom. I don't have much glaze on the bottom, so I'm just generally kind of going back and forth like you've already done before with your bowls. And I think I'm done. So we'll get that fired up, and I'll probably show you in class what it looks like. So good luck on this. Again, lots of colors at work. You don't have to stay with the copperhead. There's a lot that you might find that look good. So good luck on it, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.